What happens when a man who built his six-restaurant empire from scratch discovers the people he trusted to run it might be the very ones hurting it? Howard Harper stood by the window of his office on the 22nd floor, watching the rain tap against the glass. His phone was buzzing again. Another complaint. Fourth this week. All about the same location store for. Customers calling it impossible to get into unless you know someone. He didn't believe in micromanaging. That's how he'd scaled the business, hiring people he trusted, giving them room to lead. But lately, something fell off. Numbers were fine. Reviews? Mixed. And that was enough to get under his skin. Howard had never stepped foot in store 4 since it opened. It was in a different city, run by someone he'd never met in person. Corporate handled hiring and training. He'd been too busy building. But now? He needed to see it for himself. He decided to go undercover not as a trainee this time, but as a customer. He'd booked a table through the website. Or at least he'd tried. Fully booked until next month, the automated reply had said.
Odd. It was a Tuesday.
He flew out the next morning, landed with a duffel bag and a plan. He had a full beard now, dyed his hair darker, and wore thick-rimmed glasses. Nobody would recognize him. Especially not here. He walked in at 6:15 sharp. The hostess stand was crowded. People were standing around, some annoyed, some pacing. A couple with a toddler walked out, shaking their heads. "Excuse me," Howard said to the young woman at the desk. Her name tag read Mia. "I made a reservation for 6:15. She blinked, confused. "What name?" "Derek Hargrove," he said. His middle name and mother's maiden name. It was the alias he used whenever he needed to disappear. Mia scanned the list, tapped her tablet, then frowned. "I'm sorry, I don't see a reservation under that name." "I got a confirmation email," Howard said, pulling out his phone. He showed her the screenshot. She looked again, then hesitated. "I'll be right back," she said, vanishing through the side door. Howard stood there, watching the wait list grow. A man in a suit, tall, clean-shaven, with slick hair, walked out from the back. His name tag read Trevor. He glanced at Howard, then stepped over to Mia, who was whispering. Trevor approached him with a practiced smile. "Sir, I'm sorry, but we've had a system issue. Your reservation didn't come through on our end." Howard kept his face neutral. "So what now?" "Well..." Trevor's eyes flicked to the front. A younger couple was being seated. "At the moment, we're fully booked. But if you'd like, I can try and squeeze you in. Might just take a few minutes. Maybe grab a drink at the bar?" Howard nodded slowly. "Sure." He found a stool at the bar and watched. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. Then 25. Still waiting. That's when he saw it. A man wearing jeans and a hoodie walked in. "Reservations." No wait. Walked straight up to Trevor, shook his hand, then passed him what looked like folded bills. Trevor pocketed it, nodded, and waved at Mia. "Get them a table," he said. Howard's stomach dropped. He waited another 15 minutes, then approached the desk again. Still nothing. Mia looked nervous. "I'm so sorry. We're trying our best." Trevor came over again. "Still waiting, huh? Look, I'll be honest. It's been a crazy night. I could maybe get you in. But, sometimes people make a small contribution to help things move faster. If you catch my drift." Howard stared at him. "You're asking me to pay to be seated?" Trevor smiled slightly. "Not asking. Just saying people who do usually don't wait long." Howard's jaw tightened. He stepped back, thanked him quietly, and walked out of the restaurant. He sat in his rental car, hands gripping the steering wheel. What the hell was happening inside his own business? He spent the next 2 hours driving around, visiting the other 5 locations. All of them had customers, but none had that same tension in the air. "No bravery. No packed lobbies." Just normal service. He even walked into store 5 unannounced, sat at the bar, and got a drink in under 5 minutes. Back at his hotel, he called his assistant. I need access to store 4's security footage. Last month. Front desk every night. Everything okay? She asked.
Not yet, he said.
But it will be. The next day, he showed up again, this time with hidden cameras in his glasses and a tiny mic clipped under his shirt. He forgot to book a reservation again. Mia didn't recognize him. Fully booked tonight, sorry, she said.
Trevor walked by, paused. We meet again, he said.
Still no luck, huh? Howard kept his voice low. Maybe I'll take that option you mentioned yesterday. Trevor's smile returned.
Smart man.
Howard handed over a folded 20. Trevor didn't even flinch. He took the cash, turned to Mia. Get him a table. Now. Howard was seated in under 4 minutes. He sat with his arms crossed, heart thudding. Not because he was nervous, but because he was furious. He watched Trevor walk over to 3 different guests that night. All of them slipped him cash. All of them were seated within minutes. Howard had seen enough. He wasn't just going to call him out. He was going to burn it down and rebuild it right. Howard returned to store for the following evening, this time, just before the dinner rush. He wore the same glasses and jacket, but switched out his shirt and cap. He didn't need to interact with Trevor again. Not yet. He wanted a closer look behind the curtain. He entered through the rear alley, where deliveries were made. A few employees were milling around on break. He spotted a young man hauling in crates, lean build, mid-20s, sleeves rolled up, sweat on his brow. The name tag on his apron read Jordan. Howard approached casually, pulling a battered clipboard from his bag. You the new supplier from Land and Produce? Jordan asked, not stopping to rest. Howard nodded.
Yeah.
First day. Thought I'd see how your staff handles receiving. Jordan gave a short laugh. Man, you picked a hell of a place to start. No one tells us anything around here. They just dump stuff on us and expect it to be sorted by magic. You do this every day? Howard asked. Only when the kitchen's backed up, which is always. Jordan set the crate down, exhaling hard. I'm a line cook, but if I don't help unload, we don't have half the stuff we need prepped before open. Howard scanned the back lot, no manager in sight. Where's your kitchen lead? Jordan wiped his hands on his apron. Clara. She's inside, trying to keep the prep line from falling apart. We're short 2 people. Short-staffed. Been that way for weeks. Nobody lasts here. Jordan's voice lowered. They either quit or get pushed out. Especially if they don't play along. Howard kept his face neutral. Play along with what? Jordan hesitated. You didn't hear it from me, man. Howard gave a slow nod. Got it. Once Jordan returned inside, Howard circled around to the front. The restaurant was already filling up. He slipped into a far booth near the bar under the guise of checking fire code compliance. No one questioned him. He carried himself like he belonged. He watched Mia at the host stand. Her posture was rigid, shoulders high. She answered phones, greeted guests, but her eyes kept flicking back toward the entrance. Trevor arrived 10 minutes later, adjusting his tie, phone to his ear. He didn't acknowledge her. A couple walked in, middle-aged, well-dressed, curious but polite. Mia greeted them and checked the tablet. Reservation under Ramirez? She tapped a few times, then looked up. I'm sorry, I don't see that here. Trevor approached, still on his phone. He glanced at the couple, then gave Mia a small shake of the head. She stiffened but didn't argue. We can't seat you right now, she told him quietly. Maybe come back in an hour? The couple nodded politely and stepped aside. Seconds later, a pair of younger men entered, jeans, sneakers, one with a backwards cap. No reservation. Trevor ended his call, greeted them with a handshake, then turned to Mia. Give them table 12. But that's reserved for. Give it to them. He cut her off. She hesitated, then nodded. The couple from earlier was still waiting nearby, overhearing the exchange. The woman looked confused. Didn't you just say there weren't any tables? Mia didn't answer. Howard stood and walked toward the bar, taking a stool at the edge where he could speak to the bartender discreetly. The bartender was a woman in her 30s, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up. Her name tag read Rena. "Slow night?" Howard asked. Rena gave a tired laugh. "If this is slow, I don't want to see busy."
He leaned in slightly.
"You've been here long?" "Too long. Almost 7 months. Turnover that bad?" "It's not the customers. It's upper management." She poured a drink for a server and slid it down the bar. "Trevor's got his own rules. Doesn't care who's qualified, just who's useful." "In what way?" "You want more hours, you better be quiet. You want decent shifts? Better not question why some people get seated and others don't." Rena met his eyes. He's not subtle, and no one upstairs seems to care. Howard didn't respond. He didn't have to. A server passed by, and Rena touched her arm. "Hey, can you catch table 9? I'm still behind on bar tickets." The server nodded. As she walked off, Rena turned back. "That girl's been pulling doubles all week. You think anyone's thanked her?" "Trevor wouldn't know her name if you spelled it out." Howard left a tip on the bar and rose. He didn't need any more convincing. The culture here had rotted from the inside, and Trevor was the rot. He stepped outside and made a call. "Get me Clara from the kitchen. Tell her I need 5 minutes outside back lot." 10 minutes later, Clara emerged, apron smeared, hair pinned back, face weary but alert. She looked around. Then her eyes landed on Howard. "I'm Clara. They said you were from corporate." Howard nodded.
"Yeah."
"I'm not going to waste your time. I've seen enough inside to know something's wrong. I want the truth." Clara folded her arms. "You really want it?"
"All right."
Trevor's been pocketing cash from walk-ins, bumping paying customers ahead of reserved ones. He's cut hours for staff who complain, and he's fired 3 hosts in the last 2 months. The last one called HR. Nothing happened. And the kitchen? Barely running. I've got 2 cooks out sick, and I've been covering prep myself. Jordan's been helping, even though it's not his job. There's no support. No training. And when orders go out late, it's on me. Who's approving payroll?
Trevor.
He signs off on everything. Howard exhaled slowly. You've stayed through all that? Clara's face softened. I care about the food, about the people here, who actually try. If I leave, what happens to them? Howard stepped closer. You're not the problem, Clara. You're the reason we still have a shot at fixing this. She blinked, surprised. You're not just corporate, are you? He pulled off the glasses and raised his chin. Name's Howard Harper. I own the company. Clara's eyes widened. You're the? He nodded once. I came because something didn't add up. Now I know why. She looked down, then back at him. What now? Now we clean house. Howard returned inside and found Mia still at the host stand. She looked up, startled. He motioned her aside, away from the guests. I know you've been under pressure. I know Trevor's been forcing you to turn people away unless they pay. She froze. I didn't want to. He said if I didn't do it, I'd lose my shifts. You're not in trouble, Howard said. But I need you to do one thing. Call him to the office. Right now. She nodded quickly and disappeared into the back. Minutes later, Trevor walked into the office. Howard was facing the wall, reviewing a printed sheet of reservation logs. When Trevor entered, Howard turned slowly. Do I know you? Trevor asked. You will, Howard said. Close the door. Trevor did, arms crossed. If this is about seating, I've already explained. Howard held up a hand. Save it. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a USB drive, setting it on the desk. Footage from the last 2 nights. You taking cash, bumping guests, disrespecting staff. I've seen enough. Trevor's confidence cracked. You can't prove, I don't have to. I own the building, the brand, and the payroll you've been abusing. Trevor's jaw clenched. You're Harper. Howard nodded. And you're finished. Effective immediately. Trevor stepped forward. This is a mistake. You fire me, this place falls apart. Howard stood. It already did. You just didn't notice. He opened the door. Mia and Clara were waiting outside. Trevor looked at them, then back at Howard. You'll hear from my lawyer. Howard didn't flinch. Good. They can explain how fraud and wage manipulation play in court. Trevor left without another word. Howard turned to Clara. Bring everyone to the main dining area. We've got some things to fix. Chairs scraped against the floor as staff gathered in the dining area, voices low, eyes darting. The kitchen fell into a hush, servers lingered by the pass window, and the bar quieted to a murmur. Clara stood near the front, arms at her sides. Jordan leaned against a far wall, apron dusted with flour, watching. Rena folded her arms behind the bar, saying nothing, but listening closely. Howard stood by the host stand, now unmanned, clipboard in hand. He looked nothing like the man in the photos that hung in the back hallway, older, more weathered. But his presence made the air feel heavier. He didn't raise his voice. I came here because something didn't feel right. I didn't come as your boss. I came as someone trying to understand why people were walking away from a place I built with everything I had. No one spoke. Tonight I saw it. And I'm not here to lecture you. I'm here to make sure it doesn't happen again. A dishwasher in the back shifted uncomfortably. A server tall, early 20s, arms covered in tattoos glanced toward Mia, unsure what this meant for her. Howard continued. Trevor is gone. That's permanent. You don't have to worry about retaliation. If you saw something, experienced something, you say so now. Nothing you say leaves this room unless you want it to. Mia stepped forward slowly, voice quiet but firm. I tried to speak up. Months ago, when the last host was let go, I told HR what was happening. They said they'd look into it. I never heard anything back. After that, I just stopped trying. I needed the paycheck. Howard nodded once. Who was your contact in HR? Marissa. Out of the regional office. He wrote the name down without comment. Rena called over from the bar. It wasn't just the front. We've been shorted on liquor orders twice. Stuff goes missing from the back room, and Trevor blamed the bar staff. We stopped saying anything because it just got turned around on us. Howard looked to Clara. Did you know about that? I knew bottles were being logged out without my signature, she said. I assumed it was just inventory errors. But now I'm thinking it wasn't. A busser in the back raised his hand hesitantly. Howard motioned him forward. I'm Marcos. I've only been here 2 months. I didn't say anything because I'm not legal yet. I don't want trouble. But Trevor knew. He made me work doubles without clocking in the second shift. Said if I didn't, he'd report me. Howard didn't flinch, but his jaw set slightly. You're not in trouble. Not now, not ever. That ends immediately. Jordan stepped forward next, wiping his hands on his apron. Clara's the only reason this kitchen hasn't fallen apart. She's been covering for everyone, even when she shouldn't have to. You want to fix this place? You start with making sure she runs it. Howard turned to Clara. That's something you want? She hesitated, then nodded. If it means I can protect these people and do it right, yeah. Then it's yours, he said. Effective now. Full kitchen authority. You'll report directly to me for the next 60 days. She blinked, stunned. What about the regional director? Not anymore, Howard replied. Until I understand how this slipped through, everything routes through me. One of the servers, dark-haired, soft-spoken, holding a notepad, spoke up from the side. Is it true you watched all this happen undercover? Howard looked at her. I did. And you're not just going to disappear tomorrow? No. I'll be here through the week. Behind the scenes, but present. You'll see me every day. She nodded slowly, then stepped back into the group. Howard looked around. I'm not here to hand out bonuses or make speeches. But if you've been carrying this place on your back while others coasted, that's going to change. Starting now. He turned to Jordan. You're scheduled for prep and line tonight? Jordan nodded.
Yeah.
After service, I want you to sit with me and Clara. I want to understand how your station works and what support you need. You'll be paid for the meeting. Jordan nodded once, surprised. Howard walked toward the bar. Rena, I want a full stock report from the last 30 days. If you're missing items, I want to know which ones and when. We'll cross-check that with supplier invoices. She looked at him carefully. You're expecting some big reveal? I'm expecting the truth, he said flatly. Whatever it is. At that, she gave a short nod and turned to the register. Howard addressed the room one last time. Anyone who feels they've been pushed out, manipulated, or mistreated my assistant will be in the office tomorrow. You'll be given 15-minute windows to speak privately, on the clock. No notes will be shared without your consent. He paused. If anyone thinks this is a performance, you're welcome to leave. But if you stay, you're staying for something better. There was a long silence. Then, one by one, people began returning to their stations. Clara gave him a look as she passed. You're not what I expected. I get that a lot. That night, Howard didn't go back to his hotel. He stayed through dinner service, posted up in the office, watching receipts, checking seating patterns, and scanning the cameras. Every walk-in was handled fairly. No cash changed hands. At 11:45, Jordan knocked lightly on the office door. Clara followed behind him, hair pulled back tighter now, clipboard in hand. Howard gestured for them to sit. Walk me through what broke down in your prep process, he said without preamble. Jordan pulled out a folded sheet from his back pocket. Inventory's off by 3 days. We've been stretching herbs and produce that should have been rotated 2 days ago. We're short on starch backups, and the fryer oil hasn't been changed since last Thursday. Howard looked to Clara. That true?
Yeah.
I've been logging it. Trevor was signing off on supply cuts to make margins look better. Said it was leaning out the waste. But it's just corner cutting. Howard wrote that down. Starting tomorrow, full restock. You'll both oversee it. I'll sign off. You'll also each get a 10% temporary bump in pay for the extra cleanup. Jordan blinked. Seriously? I don't do symbolic fixes. Clara tapped her clipboard. We've also got 2 former line cooks who were pushed out last month. One because he asked for a schedule change, the other after a kitchen argument Trevor escalated. I've got their numbers. They didn't deserve to be let go.
Call them.
If they're willing, we'll rehire them under you.
Same pay.
Full hours. No questions asked. Clara nodded, already pulling out her phone. Jordan stood, but hesitated. Hey, I know this is weird to say, but no one's ever asked what we need before. Not once. Howard met his eyes. That's changing. Jordan left the office, and Howard leaned back in the chair, rubbing his temples. Clara lingered. There's one more thing. What is it? Trevor wasn't just playing favorites with guests. He was doing it with staff, too. One of the servers, Mel, she got weekends off and best sections every time. Not because she earned it. Because she gave him personal favors. Everyone knew. No one could prove it. Is she working tomorrow? She's on for lunch. Not anymore, Howard said. She's done. That's not a conversation. I'll handle it personally in the morning. Clara nodded. I'll update the schedule. Howard stood and glanced at the clock. Go home. You've done enough for one night. She hesitated, then offered her hand. You're not what I expected either. He shook it once, then watched her leave. The silence in the office felt different now. Not defeated. Just quiet, right before something better. By the time lunch service began the next day, the atmosphere at Store 4 felt different, not fixed, but alert. Staff moved with a cautious focus, unsure of exactly what had changed, but aware that something had. Clara stood near the pass, clipboard in hand, quietly watching the line. Jordan was already 2 hours into prep, sleeves rolled, jaw set. Rena arrived early, sorting through the liquor logs from the past month. Howard sat in the back office reviewing the employee files Clara had pulled for him. Most were incomplete missing evaluations and signed disciplinary notices, outdated certifications. It was sloppy, but now it was his mess to clean. At 11:37, Mel walked in. She wore a tight black sweater, hair styled perfectly, carrying a latte in one hand and her phone in the other. She didn't acknowledge anyone beyond a quick wave to the hostess desk. Clara intercepted her near the hallway. "Howard wants to see you before you clock in." "Office." Mel tilted her head. "Why?" Clara didn't answer, just pointed. Mel walked in without knocking.
"Hey."
"Someone said you." Howard didn't look up from the papers. "Close the door." She did, slowly. "You've been here how long?" he asked, flipping through her file. "About 9 months." He set the folder down. "You ever work a closing shift?"
"Sure."
"Sometimes. Once in the last 7 weeks. You've had every Friday and Saturday off for the last 2 months. Section assignments show you've had the window tables 22 times. That's more than any other server combined." Mel crossed her arms. "I'm good at what I do."
"Maybe.
"But that's not why you got those shifts." She narrowed her eyes. "I don't know what you're implying." "I'm not implying anything. I'm stating it. There were personal exchanges between you and Trevor that influenced staffing decisions. That's a conflict of interest, and it violated company policy." "Are you firing me?" "Yes." She opened her mouth to protest, but he cut her off. "You're not under investigation. You're not being accused of harassment. But your position here was maintained through favoritism, and that ends now. You'll be paid out through the rest of the pay period, and you'll be removed from the schedule." "You can't." "I can. And I just did." She stared at him for a long moment before turning sharply and leaving without another word. Howard exhaled once, then picked up the phone. "Clara, she's gone."
"Shift the floor plan."
"Pull someone from the bar to cover the window section if needed." By mid-afternoon, the rhythm of the restaurant had settled into something almost functional. Orders came in steady, the kitchen moved in sync, and for the first time in weeks, no one raised their voice on the floor. Howard stepped out front, scanning the dining area. He noticed a man in a polo shirt standing near the host stand, glancing around. "You waiting on someone?" Howard asked.
"Yeah."
"I'm with EnviroSafe. Monthly hood inspection. They told me to check in with Trevor." Howard nodded. "Trevor's no longer with the company. Come with me." He led the inspector through the kitchen, where Clara was checking the fryer temperature. She looked up, eyebrows raised. "Inspection?" Howard nodded. "You'll walk with him. Make sure he sees everything." She nodded once, then slipped off her gloves and joined them. At 4:15, Howard sat down in the back office again. Rena walked in with a binder tucked under her arm. "Last 30 days, she said. "Bar receipts, daily pours, inventory orders, and what we actually have on the shelf." He looked through the sheets silently. "You were shorted on gin and tequila for 2 weeks straight," he said.
"Yup."
"I flagged it twice. Got told the supplier was late. But I called them this morning. They said all orders were delivered on time." Trevor was skimming. "Looks that way." He closed the binder. "You want to keep running bar?" She shrugged. "If I get the ordering control and I don't get blamed when things go missing, yeah. You'll get both. Starting Monday, you'll be the bar lead. Pay bumps coming with it." She blinked. "You serious?" "I don't do trial promotions. Either I trust you or I don't." She nodded once, then turned to leave. Before reaching the door, she paused. "People are talking, by the way. In a good way." Howard looked up. "They're not used to being heard. It's weird for them, but it's working." He didn't respond, but she didn't wait for one. Dinner service began with a light drizzle outside, but the dining room filled quickly. This time, no one was bumped. Every guest who had a reservation was seated on time. Walk-ins were politely added to the waitlist. No cash changed hands. Mia kept her posture steady, eyes forward, voice calm. At 6:50, Howard stood by the kitchen pass, watching Clara call out the next set of orders. Ticket times were steady. The line was tight. Jordan flipped a pan and called "Heard" without looking up. The younger line cook beside him moved in sync. Clara caught Howard's eye for a split second and gave one small nod. That was enough. At 8:30, a woman in her late 40s entered the restaurant. She wore a dark blazer, tablet tucked under one arm. Her badge clipped to her lapel. Regional HR. Howard met her near the bar. "Marissa?" he asked.
Yes.
"I came as soon as I got your message." He led her to the office. "I've been reviewing complaint records," he said, closing the door behind them. There were 3 formal HR filings from this location over the last 6 months, all marked as resolved. She nodded, sitting across from him. "Yes." "What investigation did you conduct?" "We reached out to the GM Trevor and asked for statements from the employees involved. He provided them, said the claims were exaggerated." "You never spoke to the employees directly?"
No.
"That's not standard unless there's a legal threat." "Consider the standard changed," Howard said. "Effective immediately, no complaint can be closed without direct contact with the reporting employee." She looked uneasy. "That's going to require process changes." "Then change the process." She hesitated. "Are we talking about a full audit?"
Yes.
"Of every location, starting here?" She nodded slowly. "Understood. You'll work with Clara and Mia tomorrow. They'll give you the names of staff who filed complaints." Marissa stood. "I'll clear my schedule." Howard didn't offer her a seat again. At 10:15, the kitchen began shutting down. Jordan mopped near the dish pit, the younger busser wiping down prep counters. Clara stood at the back door checking deliveries for the next morning. Rena counted drawers at the bar. No one seemed rushed. No one looked over their shoulder. Howard stood in the dining room, watching the last table leave. Mia approached him quietly. "Reservation system's working. We had 5 walk-ins tonight. All of them waited."
Good.
"I wanted to ask something." He turned toward her. "Why did you come here? I mean, personally. You could have sent someone." "I built this place from nothing," he said. "And somewhere along the way, I stopped walking through the doors I used to care about. That's on me." She nodded. "Most people above us, they don't come back." "Then maybe that's why it broke." Howard locked the front door behind the last guest, then turned to face the staff still finishing up. "I'm flying back tomorrow, but I'll be checking in, reviewing logs, and staying in contact with Clara and Rena. You'll have support. And you'll be seen." He paused. "This place isn't fixed, but it's back on the right track." Jordan looked up from the mop bucket. "You think the other stores are like this one?" Howard considered the question, then answered honestly, "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." He walked toward the door, then stopped. "To everyone who stayed when it was easier to leave, thank you. You kept this place alive, even when no one was watching." No one applauded. No one cheered. But they stood a little taller. He left without fanfare, coat slung over one shoulder, stepping into the night rain with the quiet certainty of someone who had finally seen the truth and done something about it.